I never thought the woman I loved could speak so coldly to the woman who gave me life. My name is Sophia, and for 11 years I believed my marriage was built on love, respect, and shared values. My husband, Michael, and I had created what I thought was a safe and beautiful home. But everything changed the day my 83-year-old mother needed us most. Mom had always been the quiet strength of our family. Even at 83, she carried herself with grace and dignity. But age had begun to steal her independence. Her knees were failing, her hands shook when she tried to cook, and simple tasks had become dangerous for her. That afternoon, I was stuck in an important meeting at work when my phone rang. It was Mom. Her voice was trembling. She had fallen while trying to reach something in the kitchen. She wasn't badly hurt, but she was scared and couldn't get back up on her own. I called Michael immediately, my heart racing. "Please, honey, Mom fell. Can you go over right now? I'll leave work as soon as I can." He promised he would handle it, but when I finally rushed to Mom's apartment 2 hours later, I found her sitting on the couch, looking small and broken. Michael was already home when I returned that evening. The moment I walked in, I felt the heavy silence in the air. "What happened?" I asked. Michael sighed and looked away. "Your mom is fine now, but Sarah lost her temper when I told her I was going over." My heart sank. Sarah, my wife, was standing in the kitchen, arms crossed. I turned to her, trying to keep my voice steady. "Sarah, you didn't go help her?" She looked me straight in the eyes and said words that still echo in my mind. "I'm not dropping everything every time your mother has a little accident. She needs to figure things out herself or hire someone. I'm tired of being expected to play nurse for her. She's your responsibility, not mine." Her voice was flat, emotionless, as if my mother, the woman who had baked cookies for her, celebrated her birthdays, and welcomed her into our family with open arms, was nothing more than a burden. I stood there, completely shattered. This was the same woman who once cried on my shoulder about how much she wished she had a closer relationship with her own parents. And now, when my elderly mother needed the smallest act of kindness, she refused without hesitation. But what I didn't know that day was how deeply this moment would break us, and how it would eventually push me to take action I never imagined I'd have to take. The weeks that followed were some of the loneliest and most painful of my life. I tried so hard to make Sarah understand. I sat with her one evening, tears in my eyes, and said, "She's 83, Sarah. She's slowing down. She raised me all by herself after Dad passed. Can't we just show her a little compassion?" Sarah shook her head, her expression cold. "I married you, Sophia, not your mother. I have my own job, my own stress, and my own life. I'm not going to feel guilty for setting boundaries. If you want to run over there every other day, that's your choice, but don't expect me to join you." Her words felt like a knife to my heart. Every time I left the house to help Mom, whether it was taking her to doctor appointments, helping with groceries, or just sitting with her so she wouldn't feel alone, Sarah grew more distant. She stopped asking how Mom was doing. She stopped offering any support at all. I started noticing how in this story, the husband is supportive or neutral, while the wife, Sarah, is the betrayer. I am Sophia, the daughter and wife. The betrayal ran deep. I would come home exhausted after spending hours caring for Mom, only to find Sarah relaxing on the couch, acting as if nothing was wrong. When I tried to talk about it, she would sigh dramatically and say, "Here we go again. When are you going to choose us over her?" Choose, as if love had to be a competition. Nights became sleepless. I would lie awake wondering how the person I trusted most could be so heartless toward someone so vulnerable. My mother never complained. She would softly say, "Don't fight with your wife because of me, sweetheart. I'll manage." But I could see the sadness in her eyes, the quiet fear of becoming a burden. That pain slowly turned into something else inside me. The constant rejection and coldness began to expose the truth about my marriage. I realized I had been making excuses for Sarah for too long. Her refusal wasn't just about my mother. It revealed a selfishness that had been hiding beneath the surface. Little by little, the love I once felt started to fade, replaced by a quiet resolve. I stopped begging for her understanding. I stopped apologizing for caring for my mother. Instead, I began to quietly prepare myself for the day I would no longer live with someone who could turn her back on an elderly woman so easily. The heartbreak was crushing, but in the middle of that brokenness, my strength began to rise. The final straw came on a cold winter evening. Mom had a bad fall again, and this time she needed stitches. I called Sarah from the hospital, hoping she would at least show some concern. Instead, she answered with clear irritation in her voice. "I'm in the middle of something. Can't you handle this on your own?" That was the moment everything changed. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said, "Yes, Sarah, I can handle this on my own, and I will handle everything else on my own from now on too." When I returned home that night, I told her I needed space and that I would be staying with Mom for a while. She laughed at first, thinking it was an empty threat, but the next morning, I started meeting with a lawyer. I began separating our finances and preparing the documents for divorce. My action was calm, calculated, and final. I didn't scream or cause scenes. I simply chose to protect my mother and my own peace. I made sure Mom had full-time care support, and I moved permanently into a small apartment closer to her, so I could be there whenever she needed me. Sarah was shocked when the divorce papers were delivered. Our friends and family slowly learned the real reason behind our separation. Many of them, especially those who knew my mother, began distancing themselves from her. The comfortable, carefree life she had grown used to started to slip away. The consequences of her cold words finally caught up with her. Months later, I sat on the porch with my mother, holding her fragile hand as the sun went down. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "I never wanted to break your marriage, my love." I smiled softly and replied, "You didn't break anything, Mom. You helped me see clearly." Today, my heart feels lighter. The constant tension is gone. Mom is safe, loved, and cared for every single day. I have found peace in choosing kindness over convenience. If there's one lesson I want to leave with you, it's this. Never ignore someone who shows you how little they value the people you love most. Compassion is not optional when it comes to the elderly and vulnerable. When someone refuses to show basic humanity, believe them the first time. Protect your parents while you still can. Choose love that includes your family, not one that excludes them. And never be afraid to take action when your heart tells you that staying silent would cost you your soul. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply walking away with dignity, choosing kindness, and building a life where love and respect are never negotiable. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever had to choose between your marriage and your aging parents, know that you are not alone, and that choosing love and loyalty to those who truly need you will always bring you peace in the end.